SpongeBob SquarePants. I'm Summons and yellow and porous to see. SpongeBob SquarePants. If nautical nonsense be something weird. SpongeBob SquarePants. Then drop on the deck and flop on the field. SpongeBob SquarePants. 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 SpongeBob SquarePants.
That was SpongeBob SquarePants theme, the movie version by the Pirates.
I can't keep my composure.
No,
I can't keep my composure at all for this.
I'm trying my best.
I forgot
really
to turn
am.
on my mic.
Gaia's dying.
That was great. That's so good.
Hi, I'm Kaila,
I'm Gaia.
and this is the Public Debate,
Episode 5.
the new debate show on CHSR FM 97.9. So this is going really well.
We're a minute in and we've already had someone walk in because we didn't tell him he didn't know where to go for him.
Oh, great. Yeah, that was what that quiet was. We all just kind of stared at him awkwardly.
If you've listened to episode 4 where we had our debate on the left-right political spectrum, the guy, we're recording this a few minutes later, so the guy came back in to get his sunglasses and we actually passed them over to someone else. So, whoops.
Whoops. And now there's just an awkward pause, but that's okay. So
Boom.
there's a reason why we're using SpongeBob music. Gaia, you're very excited about this.
I'm
Want to
very
talk about
excited. So today's debate topic, today's topic of discussion is, are cartoons like SpongeBob SquarePants beneficial for children to watch at a young age? I felt it'd be quite fun after a lot of the heavier topics we've used. It's a very good, relaxing topic to discuss, and still a very important one because this is something I still hear people debating nowadays. So we felt it would be appropriate to open with the SpongeBob SquarePants soundtrack.
We might
the
close
movie.
with it too.
We're closing with it too, actually. Do you want to pass over the disc?
Yes.
Or
Here's
the cartridge.
here's the CD case.
Thank you.
Yeah. So in this debate, sorry, my headphones are suddenly very quiet.
Nice.
So in this debate, Gaia is going to be pro. Yes, they are very great for kids to watch. I am going to be negative. Personally, I don't really have that much of a viewpoint on this. I didn't really watch that many cartoons as a kid.
I watched a lot.
I watched like the standard ones. Like we did Bugs Bunny, and like we watched some a bit weird ones like Rocky and Bullwinkle and like
That was
Woody
a good
Woodpecker.
show.
It was.
It was such a good show.
It really was. So we
It's
did.
in the pits of like my memory now, where I can't remember anything about it.
And I was like a big Scooby-Doo kid. Like that was my
Only 1%
shit.
of his power shall be used in this discussion. Now that's how you date an episode. It is March 5th, 2019.
Oh, suddenly I regret this. Okay.
This is gonna be so fun.
But yeah, that was my thing. I was a big Scooby-Doo kid. But like besides that, I didn't really watch that many cartoons. I wasn't like a big let's watch SpongeBob SquarePants or like what were other ones?
Fairly Odd Parents.
Nope, never really watched that.
Christ, I can't actually remember a bunch of them now.
I mean, like I vaguely remember watching some of them like on Disney Channel. There's just like some animated things, but like nothing that sticks with me. Like I vaguely remember Kim Possible.
Oh, that was one. Disney had a lot of them actually. Phineas and Ferb.
I watched briefly. Wasn't like as a kid.
show.
That was like I babysat briefly, and like they would be watching stuff, and I would just be like, "Huh, okay, would you look at that?" And it wasn't a bad show, but
So I just Googled YTV shows in 2006 because that's about the time I was big in Actually, I should do 2008. Yeah, I actually have the computer in front of me. I'm currently Googling on the recording computer. Terrible idea. Captain Flamingo. That one I forgot about.
never seen it.
Don't watch that show. It's bad.
Okay.
Grossology was one that was. Don't watch that.
I remember there was like Ben 10 or something.
Ben 10 was I think that was on most Disney channels. They played that one.
I don't really watch it. But like most cartoons, it wasn't really my cup of tea.
Oh my god, I forgot the show. I found Clang Invasion, which I actually forgot was a TV show. That was actually like quite good.
Interesting. As a kid, my family and I, we tended to watch things together. So
right.
like, wasn't, and I don't mean like we would watch Disney movies and like, and you know, have family bonding time. No, like we would come home from school and we would watch like CSI with my mom. And, like, there was like a show about witches called Charmed. We would come home and watch that, and then immediately after that, we would watch a show called Castle with Nathan Fillion in it. That was like a cop show.
Oh, I've seen Castle.
Oh, it was good.
Isn't Castle based in Newfoundland?
I don't know.
I think it is. I think Castle's in Newfoundland.
I thought it was Vancouver.
Oh, maybe Castle. Maybe I'm thinking of a different one. One of them, one of those like really popular ones, was actually based in Newfoundland, which is quite fun.
Yeah. So we just kind of did that. So I never really. Kid shows weren't always my thing.
I am having very bad flashbacks looking at these shows, like Lazy Town, Viva Pinata, Being Ian,
I don't know.
and My Life as a Teenage Robot are 4 that I suppressed.
I don't know any of these. So my personal stance is just kind of neutral because I like.
Have you seen Jimmy Neutron?
No, not really.
That's such a good one.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I'm sure that there's some that I've seen that I've just, like, repressed or, like, just don't recall.
Yeah, I kind of repressed a bunch of them, actually, looking at this list.
Like, I don't remember Lilo and Stitch very well.
I never watched it.
Okay. I can't judge you on that. I can't remember most of it. But I've been told it's really good, and I remember bits and pieces, but it's not, like, a chronological order kind of situation.
The scroll wheel on this mouse doesn't work. That's annoying.
I can imagine it would be.
Danny Phantom. That's the one I was thinking. So some of the best shows that were there that I watched were like SpongeBob, Very Odd Parents, Danny Phantom, iCarly, and Drake and Josh were 2 big ones.
I actually did briefly watch iCarly, but that wasn't like an animated situation.
Teen Titans. I never watched much of it. It was a really good show until they made a new version recently.
I didn't watch a lot of it. They made a new Bugs Bunny recently on Netflix.
That makes me uncomfortable.
Like a Looney Tunes situation. They called it Wabbit, like with a W.
Can't help.
And I was just like, I'm going to murder whoever thought of that. Because, but it's like, if it was like the same animation as before, it would have been fine. Because, you know.
No, it was probably that updated smooth animation that, like, doesn't feel right.
Okay, yeah. And do you know those new Scooby-Doo animations?
What's new, Scooby-Doo? I can't remember how the term goes.
What? I don't want to sing.
Whoa. What's new, Scooby-Doo? Like, it was What's New, Pussycat, but they changed to Scooby-Doo.
Sure. Anyways, they made a new.
Christ, that animation style.
Did you look up?
I am looking at. No, I'm looking at Wabbit.
Wabbit is rough, and then look up the change in Scooby-Doo animation. It's really bad. Like, go back to the old ways. It's way.
No,
better.
I've seen this one. It's the same thing where they take an old animation style that aimed for detail and flatten it out for cartoon appeal. I personally really don't like that.
The old style or the new style?
The new style.
Yeah, I don't like it.
The old styles went for detail, but could only have so much. But the new style, everything is the same style, which I like. It's consistent. But I don't like the style they're using.
It makes everything seem kind of like depersonalized, and it makes everything look different.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't like it. Just like do what you were doing, guys.
I miss the days when they would look through a bookshelf and every single book was this weird flat texture, and there's this one that would stick out and like have like writing all over it and all these details and colors, and you're like, well, I wonder which book they're going to use.
Yeah.
Those are the good days.
Yeah, video games and stuff where it's like where you're like looking at a room and everything is like bland, and there's like that one really colorful thing and you're like, I wonder which thing I need to grab.
I wonder why I'm here.
And I don't know, obviously, like now that everything is like smooth and like it's fine, it doesn't provide like the same plot holes.
Yeah, and it doesn't give that same feeling, but it's still good for kids.
I guess. Yeah, I mean, like you're
not gonna agree to that.
I'm not gonna agree to that in the debate, but yeah, it's not bad for kids. It's just like not the same.
Yeah.
And I didn't watch that much cartoon stuff to begin with, but like the stuff I did watch, they're now remaking because it was good, and now they're remaking it, and I'm like, I hate it. Take it away. Is this allowed?
When the nostalgia's gone, you hate the show.
I do. Ugh. The old stuff I love. I still have Scooby-Doo movies.
That's your nostalgia kicking in as well.
Oh,
because you loved it as a kid, you love it as an adult.
That's
a very important part.
Yeah. So my personal stance on this is kind of like, I don't really have that much of an opinion. Obviously, cartoons aren't bad for kids.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's better options. I don't know exactly how they affect children. I am not a psychologist. So I'm just kind of on the fence because I'm like, I don't know enough to really have a good opinion in either way. I didn't watch cartoons enough as a kid to be like, really pro cartoons. And I feel like there are, other options as well. So I was just kind of like neutral. I was like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Pick what you want. That's not a debate I really wanted to get into. But now we're into it, so we're here.
Hello.
And I have to be no.
Also, just a quick note for those of you who didn't know, the SpongeBob SquarePants theme was written and sung by Avril Lavigne.
Not the one we played.
Not the one we played, but the original, which is terrifying. I might play that during one point as an example, just to show that it is, because it's only a minute long.
Yeah, Avril Lavigne is Canadian. I don't know why. Yeah, she is. Did you not know that?
That makes the music CanCon.
It does, yeah.
Oh, we should play it.
Yeah, so that's a thing. I didn't know why that was incredibly relevant, but I guess it was.
For note, CanCon just means Canadian content. We use it a lot for radio because we like to play Canadian music.
I'm gonna sneeze. Hang on.
Turn off your mic.
I will.
Okay, so we do have the plan for today. For the first time ever, I'm taking the pro side in a debate.
Is it the first time ever?
This is the first. This is our 5th episode. This is
my
first time.
You were pro on we should be allowed to ban books.
This is the first time I'm agreeing with my own opinions.
This is your first good side, is what you should be saying.
Yeah.
Previously, it's all been I've picked a side. You're like, what side do you want? And I'm like, I want this one. And you're like, cool.
I mean, last week's debate, technically the debate from 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
I was also favoring my own opinion, but that debate became hectic fast. If you don't ever see that episode, it's going to be available online. It's only going to be available online. We don't really want to air that one more than once.
It got a little heated.
Got a little too heated for our liking. We try to keep everything neutral and peaceful in these shows.
For the most part, we're generally pretty agreeable people, like at least to each other. Like we know we know each other decently well. But we
from the debate club as well.
Yeah, but we had a guest, and we weren't used to that, so it got a little bit more heated than we intended. Yeah,
and it didn't go how we wanted. So, it wasn't bad, but it definitely got far more heated than anyone was prepared for. So we're gonna keep that episode online. We're probably not gonna air that episode as much. Even so, that episode will still air. We're still very grateful we had the guest in and got a new perspective into the show.
Yes. But stay tuned for that.
Yeah, stay tuned for that. Well, technically, don't stay tuned for that. Go online. It's already aired.
This officially. Don't you just love recording things in a row?
Yeah. Bulk recording. Bulk recording is fun because we still record every week. We just like to have things done in advance because I have to do a lot of editing for this. It depends. I had for the first episode.
We have things to do in our
lives. We almost lost all of our sound. I almost swore there. We almost lost all of our sound because I forgot my software saves differently than I expected.
Yeah, so that was a fun adventure.
That was terrifying. I was up last night at 1 a.m. messaging Kaila here like, where are the files?
I was like, I looked at my phone and I'm just like, oh god.
Oh god.
What has happened while I have been busy? What happened? And on that note, we're going to get back on topic.
Yeah.
Because how much time has passed since we've just been chatting?
We're 13 minutes into the episode.
We've been 13 minutes into the episode, and we have done very little.
How long is Goofy Goober Rock? That's our ending song, by the way.
It's a great song.
3 minutes, actually. That's the longest song on the album.
Oh, would you look at that? The best song. It's the only one I remember.
Do you want to give a quick opening to this discussion while I check how long each song is? Because I want to see if this is the longest.
Sure. So, quick opening to this discussion. I'm kind of neutral already, but I'm going to take the no stance, which we've already discussed. Gaia is very positive, which he finally gets to portray.
Apparently a song called SpongeBob and Patrick Confront the Psychic Wall of Energy is longer than Goofy Goober Rock.
How long is it?
It's 3.5 minutes.
Huh, interesting. To continue on this introduction, we're going to talk probably about SpongeBob at some point, simply because that was the thing that sparked this entire debate. We found it in the CD room, in the record room, and we're like, oh my god, we've got to play this somehow. And Gaia was like, you know what we can do? We can discuss whether cartoons are bad for kids.
I'm sorry. I had to do that. There are actually quite a few songs longer than Goofy Goober Rock on the album here, which kind of surprises me. I didn't think anyone would have it in to do SpongeBob music that long.
Well, things happen.
Oh, I was going to end the episode with Sweet Sweet Victory.
There's so many songs. We should just play the entire album.
We might play Goofy Goober Rock at the 30-minute point just so I can set up Sweet Sweet Victory for the end. Because Sweet Sweet Victory is definitely a good ending song.
Okay, but I wanted Goofy Goober Rock. It was my choice. So it's coming in here at some point, I guess.
You start your debate. I'm gonna actually get the song up.
Neat. Okay, so I am no, and as we have previously discussed, I'm a bit more neutral than I would like. So my main point here is not that cartoons are horrible for your children or that they will mess them up profusely, but rather that there are other good options that may be better than cartoons.
I got the song.
You got the song?
I got the song.
Do I keep talking?
Yeah.
Cool. Not that cartoons in and of themselves are horribly bad. Just that there's better options.
Right.
Which is going to be my point.
Mm-hmm.
My main point. My only point. It's probably not my only point. But there's just other shows. There's other kids' shows that might show a better human connection with actual real-life human people than cartoons. That kind of portray things in a slightly more mystical way, because they're, not necessarily real. They're drawings. To have something more real and more physical that they can see and be like, oh yes, that is clearly, a real person.
Right.
It might make things have a bit more of a corporeal effect on them, where it's
corporeal.
Like, yeah, sorry, I pronounced it wrong.
No, I'm just laughing at, like, I didn't expect to hear the word corporeal.
Sorry. But it might have, like, a more physical effect, because it's much more visually commonplace.
Yeah.
Whereas with something like SpongeBob SquarePants, like, that's so freaking wild. Not that they can't learn things from it, because, like, imagination or whatever that meme is. Oh, I killed Gaia. He's dying. It's fine.
I'm here.
So, because you can still learn things from it, but it's such an out of place thing. Mm-hmm. It's not necessarily bad. It's just that it might not teach them as many things as, say, a more, like, real movie or TV show would. I can't think of one off the top of my head. I haven't watched kids' TV shows in so long.
I watched a lot, so that's why I have such a strong opinion.
And I mean, like, Hannah Montana isn't, like, a great example. But, like...
No, but a lot of Disney shows are good examples for that, honestly.
Yeah, but there's several shows that are, like, they teach, about kids going to school and doing well in school and having problems.
Ant Farm was good for that one.
Yes, Ant Farm was good. Stuff like that. What's another one? What's the one I'm thinking of?
Sweet Life on Deck, Sweet Life of Zack and Cody.
Those were
Girl
interesting.
Meets World.
Girl Meets World. Those were good. And they talk
what
about...
was the Wizards one? Wizards of Waverly Place.
Wizards of Waverly Place.
I forgot that one.
That one was also a bit out there, but, like...
That's a bit out there, but it was still, like, really good.
Yeah, and it taught about, like, commonplace issues that you will face.
It was more about interpersonal relationships.
Yeah, and it's about relationships, and it talks about schooling, and it talks about, being anxious or common misconceptions that they, like, fix up, and, like, errors in your, like, learning experiences. Like, one thing I remember from Wizards of Waverly Place was there was, like, some kind of spell that could, like, turn back time.
Yep.
And this one guy was, like, kept turning back time to have, like, the perfect first kiss or whatever. And so many people lost other opportunities. So his dad had to talk to him and be like, hey.
Please stop.
Please stop. Hey, you.
Stop. Get help.
You lose some, you win some. And just because you get it wrong this time doesn't mean you'll get it wrong next time, or that everyone else has gotten it wrong in that instance. You just have to learn from it and move on and do better the next time. You don't get a rerun.
That was the main older brother character for the show, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I can't remember his name.
I know the actor's name because I saw him in something else. It was I think his name is David Henry.
Possibly.
I'm gonna fact check that real quick.
Yeah.
But it teaches pretty basic stuff that will help kids in the future. And not that SpongeBob SquarePants won't help kids, but their lessons are so far, like, out there.
Yeah.
That they might not be immediately applicable to, like, basic life. I was right. It's David Henry also.
Really?
His name was Justin Russo.
Justin. That's what I was thinking. Jason. I was close.
You were close. He's like 11 years older than me.
Really?
Yeah, holy hot damn. Anyways, sorry, I was just, like, looking back on that, like, wow, he looked like my age at the time, but I guess it was a rerun.
I mean, at the time, he probably was your age.
Yeah, anyways. So, yeah, it's cartoons and such like that, like Kim Possible, even though it was, like, really awesome for, like, girl power and everything like that, not gonna fault it for that. It also... How many situations do you think it's going to be super applicable to, like, how many high school students do you think are going to become spies? Whereas with, like, obviously Wizards of Waverly Place isn't a great example for that because how many high school students are wizards? But like, they also struggled with other issues as well that are generally seen as, like, a more kind of more real when you can actually, like, see a person, not like a drawing, doing that, because there's just, like, a disconnect there. And especially when, like, the drawings get a little bit more wild and out there instead of, like, Kim Possible with, like, a human, opposed to, like, SpongeBob SquarePants, which is just, like, crazy. Again, crazy isn't bad, just, like, it might not be the most helpful learning tool for all environments. So, sorry, I've been rambling. Please, take it away.
I'll do my argument, and then we'll go into the song, and then do kind of like our counters and more discussion into it.
Perfect middle ground.
Yeah, it works, actually, because that gets me about, like, 9 minutes for my argument, which is a good amount of time.
Okay.
Because I think we spent 12 minutes just rambling. So my reasoning for thinking why shows specifically like SpongeBob are beneficial. Well, let me give, like, the first background. SpongeBob was actually made by a marine biologist. Not just a marine biologist, but someone very highly respected in his field, or at least moderately respected, like more than average. The guy was, like, he was very, very well educated in marine biology, and actually was, I think he was a professor or a researcher in the field before he actually started making the show SpongeBob. And a lot of SpongeBob, even though there's a lot of differences, actually does follow marine biology.
Side note, you'll notice throughout these episodes that Gaia always has more information than I do. As just a general rule.
I look into these random things for no reason.
And then they come up during these episodes, and I'm just like, where did you even, like,
did I get this?
I'm like, we did no research before this. Like, where did you pull that out of?
I just happen to know these things. Actually, recently, the creator of SpongeBob died back in October. And he was the one who made the song Sweet Sweet Victory, which, a lot of people are really important because they kept. I think Avril Lavigne is in Maroon 5. Not Maroon 5. He's in a band. What's his band?
Avril Lavigne is a woman.
Not Avril Lavigne.
By herself.
Who is it? Maroon 5. Who's
Maroon 5. Adam Levine.
Adam. They're so close.
You said Avril. I was
I
Gaia.
know. No, okay. So Adam Levine. A lot of people.
I think that's his name. I'm
it is definitely. So a lot of people actually sign a petition. It's over 1.5 million people. Yeah. 1.5 million people signed a petition for him to play Sweet Sweet Victory from SpongeBob on stage for the Super Bowl, and then they didn't do it, and there was such a huge uproar. It was, like, honestly kind of scary. A lot of people were very upset, and a bunch of, like, one hockey team, the Dallas Stars, played it in their stadium, and it made me cry. Because the creator of SpongeBob had such a large impact on my life, I felt really sad. But basically, yeah, the creator of SpongeBob was a marine biologist, and he invested his entire life in his show when he started doing it, and he made sure the show made to some degree factual sense. Obviously he took civil liberties and he took creative liberties, not civil, creative liberties with the show because to make it
for effort.
to make it more accessible. But a lot of the aspects of the show are very heavily based on the marine biology and the science behind it. And while they're not perfect representations, they make these topics a lot more accessible to people going into it. But seeing as it's a very highly specialized topic, that's not the basis for my argument. Just something interesting that a lot of these shows do have people very highly educated.
Another factoid that will tear apart the basis of my argument. Duly noted. Thanks.
No, a lot of shows have this. SpongeBob is very unique for it, for having so much science behind it. I just thought that'd be very interesting to mention. But shows like SpongeBob have very creative liberties in what they can do for their show. I'm going to keep using SpongeBob as an example because that's kind of what I wanted this episode to be. But
especially with the SpongeBob CD, it sounds about right.
Yeah, but especially with SpongeBob, a lot of these shows took advantage of their cartoon nature to do very, very wild things, but still put lessons and examples into these very wild scenarios. A good example of SpongeBob is there's a character, the Flying Dutchman, who is supposed to be who was supposed to be like Blackbeard, but on an underwater ghost ship, right?
Okay.
And he was a very, very feared pirate, but he lost his ship for some reason, like he had it destroyed, and he crashed with SpongeBob because of this, and lived in his house for a while, and he kind of tore up the place, threw too many parties, and it caused a lot of problems. And SpongeBob had to deal with the fact that he had to address this problem and try to get the Flying Dutchman back on his feet, back into his profession, back into what he was good at.
Alcoholism at its finest.
He was an alcoholic, actually. Like, genuinely, they addressed alcoholism in this episode, which is very wild. And in the end, the Flying Dutchman did get his ship back, did go back to his job. While his job was being, a ruthless pirate, it showed a lesson.
He was really out there.
Yeah, even though it was completely wild and completely weird conceptually, it still allowed for good representation in these situations where people are taking advantage of situations given to them, where people are not trying to get back on their feet because they're being helped out, and the ways to address it and the ways to be a better person. And there's plenty of more examples in this. Almost every episode of SpongeBob is dedicated to showing these lessons. There's plenty of lessons in actually, there's a lesson in fact-checking. There's one episode of SpongeBob where he wants to buy a gift for Squidward, and he buys a pie from a group of pie salesmen. But these pies are bombs. They contain bombs. Literal, actual bombs. Actually, no, sorry. Squidward buys this as a gift for SpongeBob because he begrudgingly wanted to buy him a gift because he was being forced to. And he didn't do his research. And the entire episode was about Squidward and Mr. Krabs, being the store manager, store owner, actually, worrying about the death of SpongeBob and doing everything they could to make his life worthwhile while he was alive. But in the end of it, SpongeBob was a sponge. He absorbed the explosion, and they survived. But it's very interesting to look at because it's
important lesson in fact checking, folks.
Well, the important lesson in fact checking there is, it kind of shows you to be careful with what you're buying, be careful with what you're doing, and make sure that you take in all the information you can before making a bad decision. Yeah.
And I'm not going to argue the fact that there's important lessons in cartoons. Clearly there are. That's like never going to be a debate. Like there's no stance. There's not a leg for me to stand on on that. Sorry. However, my point is that because it seems so wild and because it seems so out there might be this disconnect between the lessons it's teaching and the children themselves.
Yeah.
Whereas with better alternative, I'm not saying it's bad because it's still helpful, but because I'm making this very clear, that's what I'm going off of. They're not bad,
but there's better
alternatives. The better alternatives might be with less crazy scenarios with like real humans. To really drive the point home that it's everybody. It's not just the kids watching it. It's real people, and to have like a sponge and a bomb might not be the best lesson ever. Well, it's a good lesson, but it might not be the best way to introduce it effectively. Because it is still a good lesson to learn, and it's still like a neat way to represent it. But it's still like there might be a bit of a comprehension issue there that might not be there had it been something less crazy with real people.
I'm enjoying this episode.
It's a weird episode.
I'll give a quick rebuttal, then we'll move into the music.
Oh, yeah. Sorry I interrupted you.
No, that's fine. Actually, I was pretty much done my point.
Okay, fantastic.
That was a good basis. I would personally argue that cartoons, because they are wild, are better at teaching these lessons. This is more goes into my opinion, and I definitely need to back it up. But I would argue that because there's no limit to what you can do in a cartoon. You can go as wild and as crazy as you want. You can show as deep, interesting levels as issues as you want. You can present the same lesson in an infinite number of ways and present an atrociously high level of danger and difficulty in this lesson and still not have any issues with filming, any issues with recording, and still be able to present it properly. I would state that because you can go so wild and show so many different ways of having these lessons in such varying situations, that cartoons have a better chance of teaching these lessons.
But how accurately will the children watching them absorb the lessons if they don't think it's directly applicable to them?
Well,
but only in these crazy scenarios.
Well, because there's so many scenarios, even in less large, less significant areas, it's possible that these lessons will come to these children and that they'll think back to what happened. And even if it's more subconscious, they don't directly think, what would SpongeBob do? That'd be a very weird bracelet.
Might be a little
WWSBD. My favorite version is the Fairly Odd Parents version. I'll say that one after.
Okay.
That because these shows can go so wild, because they can go so crazy, and they can have such a wide range of circumstances that mirror real life just on an extreme value, that when the real life versions happen, the kids don't need to think back. It's built into them, and they don't need to do step by step.
Would it make their problem solving more extreme because of the extremity of everything else in those situations? If they're only watching these extreme things, not like any more quieter versions, if it's only that, would it would it make their problem solving more extreme than it needed to be?
Make their problem solving more interesting. Well,
it certainly would, but
I'll answer this question after the music if you'd like.
Oh yes,
I'm looking forward to the song.
Okay.
So we're gonna be moving into Goofy Goober Rock by Tom Rothrock with Jim Wise from the same CD, the SpongeBob SquarePants movie soundtrack.
Woo!
So
hit it.
Let's hit it.
I'm a Goofy Goober! You're a Goofy Goober! We're all Goofy Goobers! Goofy, Goofy, Goober, Goober! Put your toys away! Well, all I gotta say when you tell me not to play, I say no way! No way! No, 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 no way! I'm a kid, you say. When you say I'm a kid, I say it again. And then I say thank you very much. So if you're thinking that you'd like to be like me, go ahead and try. The kid inside will set you free. I'm a Goofy Goober. You're a Goofy Goober. We're all Goofy Goobers. Goofy, Goofy, Goober, Goober, yeah!
Oh, that was
love
good.
my life.
Nice break in the middle.
So nice. I love that I have a justifiable reason to play SpongeBob music on air.
Welcome back to the public debate. I lost the name of our show for a hot second. Oops.
So, I'm first going to start off. I mentioned the Fairly Odd Parents version of the "What Would Jesus Do" acronym.
Ooh, yes, please.
I forgot to write it down. Crap. Basically, this acronym is so insane that I need to quickly actually write it down. So what?
During the time that he's writing this down, I'm going to briefly rep the debate club before we get restarted in this debate because I needed something to kill the time. Debate club runs this podcast and meets every Friday at 6:30 in Tilly Hall, room 5.
Yeah.
You should come check it out if you're enjoying this.
It's open to all UNB and STU students. We also open it up to high school students across Fredericton.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone who really wants to join.
So just consider it.
Yeah.
Now,
also, the acronym.
Are we ready?
Yeah.
Hit me with it.
WWDDTOOTDDD.
What?
What would Doug's Dimmadome, the owner of the Dimsdale Dimmadome, do?
Wow.
So basically, in Fairly Odd Parents, it's a character with a hat a few miles high, like literally a few miles high. It's like a mile-high hat, you get the joke. And his name is Doug's Dimmadome, and he's the owner of the Dimsdale, which is the town, Dimmadome, which is their stadium, right? So he's known as Doug's Dimmadome, the owner of the Dimsdale Dimmadome. And every time he's in the show, they will say it like that. They'll say, Doug's Dimmadome, the owner of the Dimsdale Dimmadome. It's like, that's right, Doug Dimmadome, the owner of the Dimsdale Dimmadome. And they like repeat it like 3 or 4 times. So it gets really intense and it's very funny.
I think I've heard that meme before.
Yeah. What would Doug's Dimmadome, the owner of the Dimsdale Dimmadome, do? Oh man, I'm loving this. I'm loving this so much.
Gaia's having a great time.
This is a good, relaxing episode.
Okay, we do need to get back on topic though, because I'm gonna be the voice of reason here, for the most part. See, now you're dying again. This is what happens. Look what I have to put up with. I say as if you can see this. Anyways,
listen to what you have to put up with.
Listen to what I have to put up. No, it's not bad. Anyways, wow, let's try and pronounce that word again. Anyways, we should probably get back on topic. Yep. So. We were talking about SpongeBob SquarePants and the extremities of
yes, if it would make problem solving extreme.
Yes.
It's a very answering the question's not as easy as we think because we don't have any studies behind that. So I actually don't have a fact to quote for this one. I only
for the first time in the entire show.
So, yeah. Wow. I actually don't have a fact to quote for this. But to be specific, I would honestly say no. I would like to see a study done in this, but when I watch the show, a lot of their solutions are less extreme than it seems. While the causes of the problems are very, very extreme, the solutions less so. Or the standard problem solving away from the solutions, like the methods they take, are not so extreme. You hit a window, didn't you?
I just punched the window by accident. We're fine. It's fine.
At least no one in there. Yeah, it's a window between rooms, by the way, not window outside.
I'm just gonna punch
Plexiglass.
out the glass straight out
outside.
Yeah.
But yeah, so a lot of the times solutions are not as extreme as it would seem. So there's one episode in SpongeBob. I'll go to Fairly OddParents soon because those were kind of like the 2 defining shows from the YTV era, and they were definitely my biggest. There's an episode of SpongeBob where basically the Krusty Krab had a giant grease vat that was massive, where they sort of basically a truckload of grease and would dump it periodically, but they didn't usually dump it, so it was kind of overflowing. So Mr. Krabs, what his solution was dump it behind his opponent's restaurant, which obviously wasn't good. But his opponent realized that grease is a good flavor adder to food, right? It's very tasty. It's why we are so obsessed with a lot of unhealthy foods, grease. So he started using it for his food, and it very quickly turned into a war where they would use grease instead of their food to try to get more people to listen. And they would go to the extremes of, what is it? They would eventually just start serving grease soup. It was an actual thing, actual party episode. And SpongeBob countered by calling health officials. Like, he didn't do anything extreme. He just straight up called health officials and like the health officials came in and shut it down, right? That was the solution in the end. Like, and they tried to stop SpongeBob, but even no matter how much they tried to stop him, no matter how much they tried to bribe him and hurt him and threaten him, he still did it, which is very weird. It's such an extreme circumstance, but it presents the problem that you can call those in power of the situation to help you when you're being overpowered, right? Which is a very interesting way of looking at it. And both restaurants were like condemned and like underwent huge problems, right? But yeah, it's a very interesting problem-solving skill. It's such a basic solution.
A simplistic solution, but a good one.
Yeah, and this is what I like about a lot of cartoons. SpongeBob is bigger on problem-solving than a lot of other shows. And the problem-solving in SpongeBob is relatively simple when the problems and the situations they find themselves in are very complex, which I think lends to the ability of the show to teach good lessons. Even so, there is the fact that the show is about problem solving and not about, how do I define this? I can't think of a way of defining this. I had a transition to go into Fairly OddParents. I couldn't think of it.
We're just gonna swap now without a transition because that's how we do things here. Clearly.
Lord. But yeah, there are other shows that do it very differently that are not so heavily focused on problem solving. Specifically, a show like Fairly OddParents is less about fixing your problem, but more dealing with your mistakes, right?
Yeah.
Which sounds simple, but there's very few solutions in Fairly OddParents, but instead learning to deal with the bad, even when you can, use magic to solve any problem you have. It kind of shows consequences of your actions and teaches you that no matter what, you're gonna have to face them. And even though in Fairly OddParents, he has 2 fairies that just grant his every wish. It's literally in a theme song. The theme song which says, "To magical little fish that grant us every wish, there's Fairly Odd Parents." I hate that I know that.
It's okay. I could, if you start playing the music to the Scooby-Doo theme song, I know it word for word. I just need the music to start, and I've got it. Like, yeah. What's new, Scooby-Doo? Coming after you. Gonna find that mystery. Da-na-na-na-na. Yeah. So like, I got you.
So good. That's such a good theme as well.
It was. Oh man, it was so good.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm really close to my mic.
No, actually, your volume's quite good. I like it.
Continue.
So with Fairly Odd Parents, they don't fix a lot of problems in that show. There's very few issues presented that they're like, we're going to solve this issue. That show was more heavily focused on they created their own problem and they have to deal with the consequences or try to solve it. And there's no one simple solution. Even though he has Fairly Odd Parents, he could just say, I wish that never happened. He doesn't, because that would make for a bad show. And that's one thing I really like about Fairly Odd Parents. I have so few examples, but they take a problem they cause with their own hands and have to deal with the fact that they caused them, which is very interesting. I very much, even though there's wacky situations, there's a fairy world they go to where the leader of the fairy world is known as Jorgen von Strangle. He's a military guy, massive, right? He's still considered a fairy something. He has wings that can't lift him off the ground, with a wand that goes from the ground to his head, right? This dude's like 7 feet, right? He's a fairy, by the way. Just thought I need to mention that again. And he has the Arnold Schwarzenegger voice.
Wow.
It's completely wild, right? And this dude like comes down like a hammer of judgment in a few episodes. It's honestly quite funny sometimes. But it's so wild, but they still have to deal with their own problems and come up with their own solutions, which is very interesting. Like, there's a full episode where the main character, who's named Timmy, has to get out of a book report. Literally a book report. And does wish after wish and idea after idea. And in the end, he just does the book report. Because he had no other way of dealing with the fact that no matter what he did, he had to write that book report.
And that, admittedly, is a good lesson.
Yeah. It was even though he got help in writing that book report, he couldn't cheat. In the end, it never worked out.
Yeah, I can't. Like, there's no way. Like, there's no way to argue that cartoons don't teach good things. Mm-hmm. They do.
Yeah.
There's a reason that we show them to toddlers, that we let. Those are often the first shows that we let kids watch.
Yeah.
They teach lessons. They're good kids shows. They're intriguing. They're bright. They're colorful. Stuff like that. They're good. I don't really have that much to back that one up. I know I should be arguing for my own point.
Honestly, this is just a good time.
I guess there's a reason why, like, the more human-based stuff happens more when they're, more into, like, teenagerdom or, like, or closer to that stage. 'Cause that way, when they're talking about, like, dealing with, like, romance or, like, high school problems or, like, social interactions, it kind of makes a bigger impact than, like, elementary school kids.
Yeah.
That disconnect might still be there comparatively from, like, real-life situations to, like, from cartoons. 'Cause if you notice, like, when we start watching, like, more human-based stuff,
we kind of grasp the human element a lot better.
A lot better. So we just kind of... How long have we got? Do I need to...
Like 15 minutes.
Crap, I have the middle ground right here, though.
Yeah, I mean, we can just talk about shows after. Like, this is just a good debate.
So the middle ground, I think, would be watching a bit of both.
Yeah.
Because they both teach good things, and they're both, like, good lessons to learn.
Yeah.
And good... they have good aspects to them, and although there are shortcomings to both of them, if you watch both of them, it just they're good and you're fine.
Yeah, honestly,
I don't think either of them is bad, and I don't think cartoons are bad.
No.
I think there might be better options in some regards, and I think cartoons have better points in some regards to other TV shows as well. So I think it's just kind of a either or, what are you feeling like kind of situation.
Yeah.
Which we probably should have talked about for about 15 more minutes, but there's, like, no points for me to argue. Like, there's no... You're backing it up with stats, you have good arguments, and I'm just kind of like, well, human connection.
Well, you do have a very valid point with that cartoons are very good for kids because kids don't grasp things that are not as crazy. It's the craziness and the eccentricism that draw kids in. But teenagers are very different. Teenagers aren't as drawn to eccentricism as kids are. No. Teenagers are dealing with problems in their own life, and they want to see someone else who they can empathize with, even if they can't empathize with them in person. They want to see someone else where they can see someone else going through through a problem super similar to theirs, and look at their solutions and look at how it turned out and feel confidence that it will go better. Yeah. Kids don't have that grasp on reality that teenagers do. Kids are they don't need something super realistic to get the same stuff out of shows. But teenagers, I would argue, do.
Yeah.
And I would agree with you that as teenagers, cartoons start to lose their value because you go from, yes, extreme issues, but also extreme issues that have real-life solutions that teach them the good of real life when, as teenagers, we know that already. Yeah. Especially because of cartoons, we know that already, and because of other aspects of our life. So as teenagers, we more need... I hate that sentence, we more need. Doesn't sound right. Doesn't sound like English. Anyway.
English doesn't sound like English a lot of the time.
Yeah, let's just speak German. Sprechen Sie Deutsch.
I
just said, do you speak German?
I was going to say I don't speak German, but I was going to say it in Japanese, and then I lost the word for German in Japanese.
It's probably something super similar.
Crap.
Well, the suffix "go" it means language. In
Japanese.
I know.
I'm just trying to. I feel like
look it up.
I want to say Deutsch. I don't know. Okay.
Well, Deutsch is the German word for German.
Well, we're gonna bullshit our way through this.
We're both on Google Translate.
Watashi wa Deutsch go hanashimasen.
I'm gonna check if that's the word.
It's
German
not.
is
Deutschsinnen. Deutschsinnen?
Yeah, but in you change the go. So
Deutschen
go.
Deutschen go.
Deutschen go.
Okay, I was close. Watashi wa Deutschen go hanashimasen.
Deutsugo, actually, from the looks of it, I just added the word language. But yeah.
Oh, yeah, that sounds familiar. Deutsugo. Yeah, Deutsu. Yeah, watashi wa Deutsugo hanashimasen. Nice. I don't speak German in Japanese. Congrats. That's what I.
What is it in German? Say I don't speak Japanese. I don't know the word Japanese in German.
Yeah, I can say I don't speak a lot of languages in Japanese. I used to have people who would speak Spanish or French to me, and I'm like, and they're like, it's okay, you can respond in English, and I'm like, okay, well.
Deutsche Sprache, that's the word I was looking for.
Okay, cool.
I don't know how to say I don't speak German. Ich spreche nicht der deutsche Sprache.
Cool. This is going so well. We're totally on topic.
Ich spreche kein Deutsch, sorry. That's kind means now. Yeah, well, we have like 13 minutes.
Maybe we'll be a little bit shorter. Maybe we'll play more SpongeBob music.
We already played more SpongeBob music.
Well.
We have one more lined up.
Well,
I think we can definitely say...
Modern problems require modern solutions.
That was too loud. I just threw a pen on the table. Yeah, so... We can definitely agree that as kids, cartoons make more sense, and they're definitely a lot more beneficial.
They don't necessarily make
more sense to show kids because they can grasp eccentricism.
It depends on the kid, because
true.
I would not focus on cartoons.
Yeah, and I did.
Yeah, so do what's right for the kid as well. But like as a general rule, kids generally like more cartoons more. I was just
they like more eccentric things. Yeah,
I was a freaking weirdo. So I still am a freaking weirdo. So like, meh.
That's fair.
But I don't know what that noise was.
It's a noise.
We're here. We out here. Anyways, yeah, so as a general rule, kids would like cartoons more, but like do what's best for your kid and then, from there.
Yeah. And for teens, well, the argument breaks down for teens. It really becomes that teens needs to relate to something when kids are not looking for relation. They're looking for eccentricism. They're looking for something fun, and we're putting lessons in their fun.
Yeah.
Which is a bit different.
Which makes perfect sense. And I honestly don't understand exactly where people come from that are like, there's, what was the big one that people were like angry about a while ago? What was it? SpongeBob makes my kids gay or something?
I definitely have seen
ridiculous.
That one. I definitely have seen that one. I don't think that was the argument in that situation, but I have seen it.
Oh, because I saw that and I was like, oh my God. Not in like a I agree kind of way, but in a what are you talking about?
Actually, I think it was the argument that's someone saying SpongeBob makes my kid gay, solely because what was it? I can't remember now. Because SpongeBob was so flamboyant that they basically were saying there's no way he's not gay.
Well, SpongeBob can be whatever the heck he wants to be. Sexuality is a spectrum, and he's a sponge. So he can absorb all of that spectrum up and pick what he wants.
Sorry, I'm fixing the DVD case. It was upside down.
You're missing a great rambling joke that I thought was funny.
I'm sorry.
It wasn't a good joke, so you're missing out.
I'm missing out.
You missed a great opportunity to make fun of me for that, so.
I'll make fun of you after the show. Like, when I watch this episode over, I'll, like, message you and be like,
text me and be
shut
like,
up.
what the hell did you just say?
I'll just message you and be like, stop. Get help. Who messed up this case for part of it to be upside down? Oh, man.
Yeah, they kind of. I saw that earlier. Do you want me to fix it? And
No,
you can
it's
go on
alright.
a rambling joke because I ramble a lot during these shows.
It's all right. I think I got it.
You got it?
I don't know how. I don't know how to fix the back plate, but I got it back to the state it was in before.
Okay. Well, sauce it over and I'll give it a shot.
Did you say sauce?
I did say sauce.
I thought that was a thing only in Newfoundland.
Nope. My friend group from BC, we said it.
Huh.
So-
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, I'm actually from Newfoundland and Kayla's from BC, so we're coming
What's
from
that?
like opposite sides of Canada. Yeah. You can't take out the front cover. It has to be the back cover. I don't know why. I don't know how someone did that. Anyway,
I'm confused.
we're kind of breaking into a bit of ramble.
We are. We still have one more song to go.
We do, but it's only 2 minutes long.
The CD?
No, I have it on YouTube. It's not on that CD.
Oh, okay. Noted.
So we're gonna be playing a YouTube video, my dudes.
Interesting. There's no way to take this thing off. Anyways, talk more about something to do with the topic instead of whatever the heck we're talking about
I don't
now.
have much left on the topic. I personally find cartoons, well, they had their use. There was a show that used to run, I mentioned it earlier, called Jimmy Neutron, where the whole theme of the show was the main character was super, super, super intelligent. Like, could make inventions, had a robotic dog, he could build whatever he wanted. He was like an engineer, scientist mix, and inventor who was insanely smart and was a kid. And the entire
I remember that show.
Yeah, the entire show was based around his adventures of basically trying to get everyone to understand him and try to see out the world that he wants when everyone sees him as a kid. And the whole idea of the show was teaching kids how to empower themselves. Teaching kids, yeah, I know, it's really weird.
Holy hell.
Yeah, that case is really, really messed up.
I did it. I also dropped something in the process, but we're fine.
Did you drop a disc?
No.
Okay. But no. So the entire show kind of features his ideas of trying to be accepted. Not really accepted. He was decently accepted, but trying to let everyone else understand him, try to coexist, in a world where people are not like him, and try to empower himself when he's just a kid and let others understand. And he had great success in it. And the show kind of taught kids, how do they be strong when everyone looks down on them? How do they get others to understand?
That was a really good middle of the road show. Like, it wasn't for teenagers, but it wasn't for, like, toddlers.
No, it was for young kids.
Hell yeah.
You got it?
I fixed it.
Nice.
Yeah, but it was, like, a good middle of the road. So it was, like, it was a little bit older than, like, SpongeBob SquarePants, maybe.
Well, yeah, SpongeBob was about the 5 to
there you
8
go.
range, up to 10. When Jimmy Neutron definitely was like the 10 to 12 range.
Yeah,
to me.
so it was like a little bit older. It was the pregame to teenager
Yeah, preteen.
shows. Preteens.
The preteen show.
The pregame. Wow.
The pregame.
The pregame to teenager.
Is
though.
being a teen a game?
No, it's hell. Fun facts.
It is.
It's rough.
It's not the best time of your life. University is, because you're finally able to understand yourself and you're doing all the stuff you enjoyed as a teen.
Yeah, I mean, like, look at me. This is great.
I love when people are always like, your teenage years are the best years of your life. No, they suck. You spend years trying to figure out who you are, getting bullied and ridiculed, not understanding anything in the world around you, and while being looked down upon by adults, while also being given adult-like responsibilities.
Which is why teenagers need their own type of TV shows that aren't cartoons.
Do you ever wonder why teenagers are depressed?
Do you
But
ever...
yeah.
That hit me a second later. Oh.
I mean, that's true, actually. That's, like, pretty much the accepted reason why teenagers are depressed.
The amount of stress in normal high school students currently is that of a 1950s insane asylum patient.
Yes, I was hoping you would say that.
So
When I heard you say the amount of stress, I was like, please be that statistic.
I finally knew something. I finally
love
brought
that
up a
statistic so
statistic. Haha, I did it. I did it before Gaia did. Look at me go.
Your foot's in the
I'm
air.
so impressed. Celebration. I had to kick upwards to celebrate the fact that I have statistics as well, I
well,
guess.
We've hit the 55-minute point.
We have?
Yeah.
Would you look at that? We finally made it after this long preamble. Conclusion, cartoons and other shows are both equally great.
Yeah, and they have their time and place.
Yes, and you should listen to more of the public debate here at CHSR FM.
97.9 FM.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to say it like in the Newfoundland FM, like 97.9 CHSR FM.
I really need to remember the number.
I really like that though. Like 97.9 CHR FM.
CHSR. You missed it.
Did I miss it?
You missed the S.
Oh, I thought I said yes.
You said CHR. Anyways, we need to wrap this up before we get any more rambly than we already have. So Gaia, let's kick it off. Tell me the song that we're closing this with.
So we're gonna be finishing up with a song that was sadly not played at the Super Bowl in late 2018, early 2019. It's kind of an homage to the death of the creator of SpongeBob. It was kind of his key work and kind of very important to him, and it's made me cry listening to it. So the song is Sweet Victory. I can't actually remember who wrote it. I don't know if it's listed in this YouTube channel. It's not listed.
Shame.
That's really sad.
We
tried. But yeah, it's Sweet Victory. You can look it up. It's from the SpongeBob SquarePants episode Band Geeks. And yeah, we're going to move into there now. So I'm Gaia.
I'm Kaila.
Thank you for listening.
Catch you next time.
See you later.
Okay, football fans, put your hands together for the Bikini Bottom Super Band.
These are some ugly-looking fish.
Maybe we're near one of those toxic waste dumps.
I think I'm gonna be sick.
Okay, everybody. Let's get this over with. 1, 2, 3, 4.
The winner takes all. It's the